वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन जामुनतीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुनातीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजगचर्य स्तोत्र शतश्री श्रीमद् शिलाभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की ब्रह्म मध्व गौड़ीय संप्रदायाचार्य वृंद की नामाचार्य शील हरिदास ठाकुर की श्रीमद् भागवतम महापुराणम की समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल हरि बोल। वंदे गुरुन् ईशभक्तान् ईशम् ईशवतारकान् तत्प्रकाशांश्च तत्शक्ति कृष्ण चैतन्य संज्ञकम् नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। मदेकबन्धुमत्सङ्गीन् मद्गुरो मन्महाधन मन्निस्तारकमद्भाग्य मदानन्दनमस्तु ते असाधु साधुतादायिन् अतीनीच च तारक हानमञ्च कदाचिन्मां प्रेम्णारिकण्ठय स्फुरः श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So today we are reading from Canto 2, Chapter 6, Purusha Sukta confirmed, text number 43 to 45. 45 is on the board. We can together chant text number 45, then I will read 43 to 44. यत्किञ्च लोके भगवन्महस्वद् ओजो-सहस्वद् बलवत्क्षमावत् श्री-ह्री-विभूty-ātmavad तत्त्वं परं रूप बद-asva-rūpam। यत्किञ्च लोके भगवन्महस्वद् अजो-सहस्वद् बलवत्क्षमावत् श्री-ह्री-विभूty-ātmavad त्वं परं रूप बद-asva-rūpam। यत्किञ्च लोके भगवन्महस्वद् ओजः-सहस्वद् बलवत्क्षमावत् श्री-ह्री-विभूty-ātmavad तत्त्वं परं रूप वदाश्वरूपम् chant. Mataji. Okay, text number 43-45. Aham bhavo yajña ime prajesha dakṣa-ādayoje bhavad-ādayaścha svarloka-pālāḥ khagaloka-pālā nṛloka-pālās talaloka-pālā gandharva-vidyādhara-cāraṇeśā yakṣa-rakṣoraga-nāga-nāthāḥ jevarishīణāṃ rishabhah pitrinam daitya-indra-siddheśvara-dānavendrāḥ अन्ये च ये preta-piśāca-bhūta kūṣmāṇḍa-yādo-mṛga-pakṣy-adhīśāḥ yatkinca loke bhagavan-mahasvad ojaḥ-sahasvad balavad-kshamavad śrī-hrī-vibhūty-ātmavad tattvam param rūpa asva-rūpam. Translation. I, myself, Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, great generators of living beings like Daksha and Prajapati, yourselves, Narada and Kumaras, heavenly demigods like Indra and Chandra, the leaders of the nṛloka planets, the leaders of the earthly planets, the leaders of the lower planets, the leaders of the Gandharva planets, the leaders of the Vidyādhara planets, the leaders of the cāraṇa-loka planets, the leaders of the yakṣas, rakṣas, and uragas, the great sages, the great demons, the great atheists, and the great spacemen, as well as the dead bodies, evil spirits, Satans, jinn, kūṣmāṇḍas, great aquatics, great beasts, and great birds, etc. In other words, anything and everything which is exceptionally possessed of power, opulence, mental and perceptual dexterity, strength, forgiveness, beauty, modesty, opulence, and breeding, whether in form of formless, many appear, whether in form or formless, may appear to be the specific truth and the form of the Lord, but actually they are not so. They are only a fragment of the transcendental potency of the Lord. Purport: those in the list given above, beginning from the name Brahmaji, the first living creature within the universe, down to Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, Narada and other powerful demigods, men, supermen, sages, rishis, and other lower creatures of extraordinary strength and opulence, including the dead bodies, satans, evil spirits, jinn, aquatics, birds, and beasts, may appear to be the Supreme Lord, but factually none of them is the Supreme Lord. Every one of them possesses only a fragment of the great potencies of the Supreme Lord. The less intelligent man is surprised to see the wonderful actions of material phenomena, as the aborigines are fearful of a great thunderbolt, a great and gigantic banyan tree, or a great lofty mountain in the jungle. For such undeveloped human beings, merely the slight display of the Lord's potency is captivating. A still more advanced person is captivated by the powers of the demigods and goddesses. Therefore, those who are simply astonished by the powers of anything in the creation of the Lord without any factual information of the Lord Himself are known as shaktas actually, worshippers of the great powers. The modern scientist is also captivated by the wonderful actions and reactions of natural phenomena, and therefore is also Shakta. These lower grade persons gradually rise to become Sauryas, worshipper of the sun god, Ganapatyas, worshipper of the mass of people as Janata Janardana or Daridra Narayan, etc., in the form of Ganapati, and then rise to the platform of worshipping Lord Shiva in search for the ever-existing soul, and then to the stage of worshipping Lord Vishnu, the super soul, etc. Without any information of Govinda, Lord Krishna, who is the original Lord Vishnu. In other ways, some are worshippers of race, nationality, birds, beasts, evil spirits, satans, etc. The general worship of Shanidev, the Lord of distressful condition, and Shitala Devi, the goddess of smallpox, is also common to the mass of people, and there are many foolish men who worship the mass of people or the poor class of men So different persons, societies and communities, etc., worship some of the potent manifestations of the Lord, wrongly accepting the powerful object of God as God. But in this verse it is advised by Brahmaji that none of them is the Supreme Lord. They are only borrowed plumes from the original Almighty Lord Sri Krishna. When the Lord advises in Bhagavad Gita to worship Him alone, it is to be understood that worshipping Lord Krishna includes worshipping all that is mentioned, because He, Lord Krishna, includes everything. When the Lord is described as formless in the Vedic literature, it is to be understood that all the forms mentioned above within the experience of universal knowledge are different exhibitions of the Lord's transcendental potencies only, and none of them factually represents the transcendental form of the Lord. But when the Lord actually descends on the earth or anywhere within the universe, the less intelligent class of men also mistake Him to be one of them, and thus they imagine the transcendence to be formless or impersonal. Factually, the Lord is not formless, nor does He belong to any of the multi-forms experienced within the universal form. One should try to know the truth about the Lord by following the instruction of Brahmaji. So, in this section, Lord Brahma is speaking to Narada about the personality of Godhead. Therefore, Prabhupada says, one should try to know the truth about the Lord by following the instruction of Brahmaji. So, in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, the description is all about the activity in relation to this material creation of the Karana-Navasaya Vishnu. So Karana-Navasaya Vishnu, who in the beginning glances on Prakriti and from where all this creation starts. So that is the beginning of this creation subject. That means Mahavishnu, who expands himself in many forms, and how the creation is being conducted, that is to be understood by studying the potency of the personality of Godhead. Here in this connection, when Brahma is saying, ahaṁ bhavo yajña ime prajā-īśāḥ dakṣa-ādayaḥ bhavad-ādayaś svarloka-pālāḥ khagaloka-pālā nṛloka-pālāḥ talaloka-pālāḥ, all these, then gandharva-vidyādhara-cāraṇeśā. So all these personalities' names have been mentioned by Brahma, who make a display of Lord's opulence. And unfortunately, there are certain section of the society who consider them as the supreme, because when they see some powerful manifestation in this universe, they become amazed, and they are very much in the appreciation of that godly display in form of opulence. Even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, yajña-vibhūti-mat-sattvam srimad-urjitameva va tattad eva-avagachatvam namo tejam sasambhavam. Whatever beautiful and glorious display we see, they are but nothing but the spark of Krishna's opulence. right? Krishna's beauty. So that means anything we see, any opulent display in this universe, that must be seen by recognizing the glories of the Supreme Lord. So therefore, Lord Brahma here, he is speaking, especially the last verse is saying, Jatkincha loke bhagavan mahasvad. Bhaga means aishwarya, the opulence. So whatever is seen, the opulence, whatever opulence is seen, ojaḥ means ojaḥ, saha and bala. These refers to the energy of the mind, senses, the strength, mental and sensual dexterity. So, and bhavad kṣamavad śrī-hrī-vibhūty-ātmavad adbhutaranam. There are so many beautiful colors we see in this world, right? So what is this? Tattvam param. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he is saying tattvam means sakaram asmadadikam. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada also explains, he translates also this tattvam, the specific truth, the forms, and param, transcendental, that's arupam. That means the kala-rūpam, which is the another manifestation of the Supreme Lord. So, tattvam param rūpa-bhat asva-rūpam. Asva-rūpam. If you see the last word, asva-rūpam. Rūpa-bhat. These look like the form of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, some spiritual practitioners, they see anything in this world, they identify that as the Supreme, as the God. That is an understanding we see. But unless we hear from the Vaishnava Acharyas about the understanding, the true understanding, we will not know what is the meaning of these verses. Therefore, here it is said, Rūpavad, as if they appear like the form of the Lord. Rūpavad, but asva-rūpam. No, it is not actually the Lord's form. This is where we understand this achintya veda tattva. Simultaneously, yes, then again no, right? Like Jiva is Brahma. So, is it that Jiva is Brahma, Eka Brahma Dvitiya Nasti? So there is no second Brahma. Brahma means only one. That means the Jiva is also equal to the Supreme. So, according to some understanding, some spiritual practitioners' understanding, they may say like that, but we understand, yes, the Jivas who is also defined as Brahman, they are the manifestation of partly opulence of the Supreme Lord. They have the qualities of the Supreme Lord. The Prabhupada explains in Sri Upanishad by taking the example of a drop of water from the ocean. The ocean water is salty. If you take one drop, the quality-wise speaking, the salty quality is there also present in a drop of water. But quantity-wise speaking is very minute. So, similarly, there is Atma Ashtaguna, Bijaro, Bishoko, Vimrityu, Apahata Papa, Vijigatsa. All these qualities, Satyakama, Sankalpa, right? So all these qualities are originally there in the Supreme Personality of Godhead in full, in greater quantity. But when the Jiva, they recognize their position as the eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, and they attain to the service of the Supreme Lord, then all these qualities also become manifest gradually. They realize this aspect of the Brahman, the Jiva also. So similarly, so here the point is the potency of the Supreme Lord is manifested through this entire creation. Therefore, whenever we see some opulent display, we should not get immersed. That's why Prabhupada said even the scientists, by seeing the opulent display of this cosmos, they become mesmerized. And he is saying they are sakas actually, because upasaka of Shakti of the Supreme Lord. Yes, we understand, but they are not actually the form of the Lord. That's why it is Srila Sukadeva Goswami is saying, Tattvam Param, Brahma is saying, of course, Tattvam Param Rupavad asva-rūpam. That is not the Swarupa of the Supreme Lord. So here Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he is saying that asva-rūpam, na bhagavata swarupam. Aswarupa means that is not the Swarupa of the Supreme Lord. Tasya Swarupa Shakti Vilasatva Abhavat Ityartha. Means there is manifestations of different forms in the universe is not the form of the Lord, because there is no presence of the Vilas, Swarupa Shakti Vilasa. That is not the sport of the Swarupa Shakti of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is saying this is Vaswarupa. Evam cha kaladinam purusavatarasya karma rupa te api te shaktaya brahmadaya gunavatara prajā-īśāḥ अन्ये केचित् ज्ञानिनः योगिनः कर्मिणः मूढश्च स्थावर जंगमश्च सर्वे पुरुषावतारस्य सृष्टिलीला परिकरा ज्ञेया. That means whatever we see this, he is saying this gunavatara and prajā-īśāḥ. Prajapati means Marichi, Daksha, they are Prajapatis, and they are actually the vibhuti of the Supreme Lord. And sometimes the jnanis, the yogis, karmi, even the sthavar jangam, the moving and non-moving entities, sarve, they are actually purusavatarasya sustyadi lila parikara. They are actually lila parikara, means they are the entourage of helping Lord Vishnu, Karnanavasai Vishnu, perform the pastime. So they are called lila parikara, jnana. So this is very clearly explained. Therefore, we, the Vaishnavas, the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, are not confused or don't mistakenly identify any opulent display as the Supreme Lord. Rather, when we see this opulent display, we remember the Supreme Lord. So therefore Prabhupada is giving example. There are different types of people who are aborigines. They see some opulent display in form of big mountain, big banyan tree. They start to recognize those objects as the Supreme. And those who are a little bit more advanced, they consider demigods. There are some other people who worship ghost spirits, evil spirits even. So, because these people are, when they see little opulent display in any objects in this material world, they get attracted to them. But the Vaishnavas, they know the Krishna who is ahaṁ sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate, from whom everything comes. Everything means spiritual or material. All these objects, they are in the Krishna has the source of all these objects in him. So in that way, we are not confused. When the Lord is described as formless in the Vedic literature, it is to be understood that all these forms mentioned above within the experience of universal knowledge, the different exhibitions of the Lord's transcendental potencies only, and none of them factually represents the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord. They don't actually represent the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord. But when, like we are having this Chandan Jatra festival now, right? If you go to Puri in Jagannath temple, they bring Utsava Murti out. Here also in Radha Madhav temple, right? We bring Chota Radha Madhav, which is Utsava Murti. Big Madhav, Radha Madhav is here in the altar. But they actually represent the main deity. Okay? In this connection, there is no difference between this Utsava Vigraha and the main Vigraha that are worshipped in the temple. Actually they represent. Because now this Chandan Jatra festival is going on. We have seen in Puri this festival is also called this Chandan Lepana, means where the devotee they smear Chandan on the body of the Supreme Lord. That's also called Gandha Lepana Jatra. In another way it's called Gandha Lepana Jatra. So initially around more than 300-400 years ago in Odisha, Jagannath temple, they used to bring Govinda Dev deity as the representative of Lord Jagannath to go to Narendra Sarovar to perform this water pastime. Because this is very hot season of the year, hottest part of the year. So they bring the Lord out of the temple. And who is coming? Jagannath is not coming. Jagannath's representative is coming. And that is as good as Jagannath. He is actually Jagannath. So they used to bring Govinda Dev out. But at one point in time, there was a king of Bengal whose name was Pratapaditya. He actually conquered Odisha. Then he took this Govinda Dev deity out and he installed in Raipur. After that, they invited Madan Mohan to represent Jagannath. So that's why nowadays if you go there, you will find they bring Madan Mohan deity, and according to local custom, they say with Madan Mohan means Jagannath is going out with Lakshmi Devi, and some say Saraswati, some others say Satyabhama, whatever, Satyabhama or Saraswati. So they come and they sit on one palanquin. And Madan Mohan, according to them, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Lakshmi or Satyabhama, whatever. And then in another palanquin, Krishna Balram, they will come, they will sit. And in another palanquin, there are actually another 5 palanquins, 5 ministers, they are going to come. Who is the minister? He is the Lord of the universe, he is going out. That means a minister has to accompany him, right? Who are the ministers? Lord Shiva, in different forms, 5 forms. Kapala Mochana, Jameshwara, Lokanath, Markandeshwar, and Nīlakantheshwar. These 5, Lord Shiva, they accompany them. And they actually used to perform some mandapa. Mandapa that is very nicely decorated with flowers and fruits, and lot of varieties of drinks, fruits, and some preparations are kept. When they go out of the temple to go to Narendra Sarovar, so they will sometimes take rest on this shady platform, and the devotees will offer different types of food items to the Lord and drinks. So they will rest there for a while, and so many devotees are going on the procession with different types of musical instruments and singing the glories of Lord Jagannath And Jagannath is like a king. He is going with the procession, and sometimes he will just stay for a while on this platform, and the devotee is going to offer bhavo to the Lord. And then in this way, one after another, then he will finally reach in Narendra Sarovar. Narendra Sarovar, if you go to Puri, and you go towards Gundicha temple, on the left of the Grand Trunk Road, there is a way going where you can go to Narendra Sarovar, big pond. And in the middle, there are 3 temples in that pond. So the deities, they go there, and before they have decorated nice boat with flowers and incense, agru, water, very very fragrant atmosphere is created on the boat, and the surroundings of the pond is decorated with many lamps. So many people, lakhs of people are standing. Orissa is very famous. All the people, they go during this time to see this festival of Lord Jagannath. Once upon a time, we also had this opportunity to go and enjoy this festival. It is so beautiful, actually. Very simple they do, but very gorgeous. I mean to say, very enjoying. So when the deity arrives, then they will mount the deity on the boat, and then they will take the deity to the middle of the pond. It's a big pond, actually, very big pond. And then there are 3 temples. The biggest temple, inside there is a well. So Madan Mahan, Satyabhama, and our Lakshmi Devi, they will enter the temple, and they will take water from the pond. They will bathe the deity. And then in the middle temple, Krishna Balaram, then the next temple will be these 5 ministers. They will be there. And then they will be given bhoga. Bhoga will be offered to them. And after that, again, they will be taken on the boat to go around. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he used to enjoy this pastime. He would bring all his associates. You can see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming from Bengal, right? And now the Pandas of Jagannath, they are from Orissa. But in that situation, there is no difference actually. The Pandas, they go very well with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers. They all mix together, and they sing, chant, dance, play the drums together to glorify Lord Jagannath. And sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he will join his associates and go in the pond, and they will stand in circular form by holding each other's hand. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will start playing on the water. It's water sport. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he enjoyed this festival so much with his devotees. Sometimes the outsiders, they don't know. Even the non-devotee, in non-devotee circle, or those who are semi-devotee, who don't understand these pastimes of the Lord, they only take interest in the Ras Lila pastime of the Lord. Right? We have seen many so-called spiritual practitioners, they directly jump into the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam without understanding the importance of the other pastime of the Lord. So Lord, he performs such pastimes. This is one of his pastimes when he is coming out of the temple. Lord Jagannath himself, he comes out of the temple on Rath Yatra day. But his representative, Madan Mahan, he comes out of the temple on the occasion of this Chandan Yatra, the Gandharva-vidyādhara Yatra festival. And he performs these pastimes. Why? Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur, he is speaking when he is describing about this Chandan Yatra festival. He says, "Isakal lila jiva uddhar karane, karma bandha chinde yaha sravana pathane." Jiver karane, jiva uddhar karane. just to liberate the living entities from their conditioned nature, and karma bandha chinde, just by hearing and reading these beautiful pastimes of the Supreme Lord, one can be immediately released from the bondage of his karma. So, without being freed from the bondage, one cannot actually appreciate the pastime of the Supreme Lord. One will not be able to understand the presence, the importance of the presence of the Supreme Lord in his life. So therefore, these pastimes are enacted by the Supreme Lord to give us an opportunity to meditate upon these pastimes of the Supreme Lord. We hear about these pastimes, we read these pastimes. That is how we become released from the bondage of karma. And when we become free, free means you really experience the transcendental happiness. Now we are actually bound, right? Just imagine there are so many enjoyable food items before you. If somebody is going to tie your hands, how will you feel? Can you enjoy just by looking at it? No. You want somebody to help you to untie your hand. Then as you start eating, oh, so nice, right? So in the conditioned nature, nobody has literally bound our hand or tongue or anything, but the conditioned nature has paralyzed us. That's why we are not able to have the ability to taste the sweetness of Krishna's pastime. Therefore, our acharyas, by narrating these pastimes, they have given us an opportunity, just by hearing these pastimes, just by reading these pastimes, we can actually become freed from this crippled condition. And then when we regain our true consciousness, true strength of Krishna consciousness, that time when you hear, at least maybe sometimes by hearing once, you are awakened to the platform of love of Godhead. You feel so happy, so joyful. So this is why Lord performed these pastimes. And this pastime, they continue for 21 days, starting on Akshaya Tritiya day. And in Puri also, they dress the Lord in a different form, in different garments, different days, representing deity in different forms. In the first day, Akshaya Tritiya day, they dress the deity as in Natavara-vesh. Natavara. Krishna is also Natavara, right? Brahma Pidam Natavara Vapu Karnayo Karnikaram Natavara Vapu. Krishna is an expert dancer. When he is coming back to Yashoda Mata's house, after a whole day spending time in tending the cows in the Vrindavan, he is tired. But when he joins with his cowherd friends, while returning back, he can't hold himself. He has to dance. When coming, he is dancing and coming. So that is Natavara. And first day, this Natavara wears. Then second day, Chaturthi, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Sri Krishna Janma wears. Then third day, Radhadhiraj wears. Fourth day, Shri Ban Bihari wears. Thank you. My health is not good. So in this way, the devotees, they decorate the Lord very nicely. And those who actually are engaged in decorating the Lord, they are doing direct service. They also get the blessing and happiness of doing this service. And the devotees who go and take darshan of the Lord, they also equally feel satisfied and happy. So these are the actual life of the human being. We have seen in our childhood, every month there will be some festivals related to the Lord, or sometimes in villages some demigod festivals they used to conduct. And that was a kind of, the life of the people. But nowadays everything is becoming centered around computer and mobile phone. So people have got no concept, no idea about how they can actually enjoy their life by taking part in different festivals centered around the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. This is a very unfortunate situation. And modern civilization, they don't have any idea about it. Therefore, ISKCON is opening so many centers all over the world. In villages also we have got Bhakti Vriksha Namata centers. This is to give an opportunity to people. Never mind whatever culture one is coming from, but this is your actually original culture. This is Sanatan culture. That whatever culture people follow in any part of the world, that is just to gain some happiness. They are seeking some happiness. But real happiness is attained by the living entities when they take part in the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Either hear or read or see, or even you personally get engaged in doing some activities in those pastimes of the Lord. So this is the way to attain transcendental happiness. So now Lord Jagannath is performing in Rajapur, right? In Mayapur we have got two places. Here Radha Madhav is going to our Prabhupada's Pukur, and there Jagannath, right? Coming to the Pukur in front of Simantini Devi temple. So you can go take part in those festivals and enjoy your Krishna consciousness. So today we discussed one thing about Lord Brahma is speaking about these different entities who are Gunavataras, even the Loka-pālās, the Prajapatis, and all these opulences which we see in this world, they are nothing but the manifestation of the Supreme Lord. Even though some people they say that is the Swarupa of the Lord, but that is not actually the Swarupa Shakti Vilas. That is, therefore we don't accept those forms as the form of the Supreme Lord. And also we discuss about the beautiful pastimes of Lord Jagannath and this Chandan Jatra festival, where we refer to the writings of Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur, where he says, just by hearing and reading the pastimes of Lord Jagannath, one can become freed from the bondage of karma. Thank you all very much. Any question or comment? Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class. Wonderful insights from Acharya's commentary as well. One clarification, Prabhu, if you can highlight. You mentioned that many of the devotees who come with the Lord are Leela Parikara. That means they come to enhance the pastimes of the Lord. So we consider them also as very merciful because we say Gaura Parshad, or those devotees who come with Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So how do we understand? They are also manifestation of the Lord. So whom do we consider more merciful? The devotees of the Lord or the devotees themselves? Based on this verse.
Who are?
The devotees of the Lord who come as expansions of the Lord, they are more merciful to take us towards the Lord, or the Lord himself with respect to Brahma's prayer today? He's saying that everything is the Lord and He is the real reason. So as Gaudiya devotees, how do we understand the expansions of the Lord?
No, actually we know there are nitya mukta jivas who are eternally liberated souls. They are in the spiritual world. And there are baddha muktas. They are conditioned, but by performing sadhana, they have become liberated. And here in this world we have nitya baddha, eternally conditioned. So these liberated souls, they are sent to this world by the Supreme Lord to assist the Supreme Lord in His pastime. They come here. Basically, this is their role actually when they come to this world. That pastime could be like Lord is performing this Rasa dance, the Chandan Jatra festival, any pastime Lord performs. His associates also, they actually assist the Lord. Like Swaparsad Shyadham Sahavatari, Atyanta Durlabha Prem Karivare Dan. So why Lord comes with His associates? Because He wants to give opportunity for the conditioned souls to get liberated. And they actually help. So in this condition for us, the representatives of the Supreme Lord who are manifest before us in form of the spiritual master, and they keep us guiding, they play major role in our life. But at the same time, when we see all these opulent display of the Supreme Lord's potency, we should appreciate we must see the hand of the Supreme Lord, or we must realize the greatness of the Supreme Lord, and our appreciation, dedication, service should enhance for the Supreme Lord. So there are certain things in this world which can help us to become indirectly connected with the Lord. And there are some others who can help us to remain directly connected with the Supreme Lord, like Guru. He is giving you deity, he is giving you mantra, he is telling you the way to worship, it's direct engagement. But when you see all these opulent display, oh yeah, it reminds you about the God, and you use these items in the service of the Lord. So like that. Okay, thank you very much. We will conclude here. Now you can go down to take darshan of Shri Radha Madhav. Shri Radha Madhav Asra Ki Vrinda Ki